Welcome back. You're listening to Dime to Diamonds. This is the show you want to be a part of if you're thinking about retirement, if you're thinking about really telling your boss what you think and living the life that you've dreamed of, that you've hoped for, that you've sacrificed for. The question usually is, well, have I saved enough? Is my money going to last as long as I need it to? Well, very simple, guys. That's where Suzanne and the team come in. And give a call today. That's 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311. The website, dimetodiamondsradio.com. Berkshire Hathaway recently held its annual meeting, and for the first time in 60 years, if you can believe it, retired CEO Warren Buffett was not on stage. Instead, he watched from the audience. CNBC later asked him how he sees the stock market right now, and here's what he said.
I've compared the markets to a church with a casino attached, and people can move between the church and casino, and I would say there are more people in the church and more people in the casino, but the casino's gotten very attractive to people. It's gambling, just totally. So we've never had people in a more gambling mood than now, but that doesn't mean that investing is terrible.
Well, here's the deal. I think a lot of folks are wanting to, I guess, quote, gamble because, listen, we're, in our fourth year of market highs. A lot of people are riding that roller coaster high as long as they can. But the question is, when markets start to feel more like a casino, you're just hoping you keep rolling those sevens all night. How should investors remind themselves that they're here for church?
Retirement money should never be treated like entertainment, and I help clients separate that speculation from actual retirement planning so they can protect their income, their lifestyle, and peace of mind. And just right now, we are just starting this huge transformation of wealth over to females. They're saying by 2030, statistically, 34 trillion will be under the care and management of women. And so that's where you are going to start seeing more church, because they want that peace of mind. They want the consistency. They're sitting back. They're starting to pull back now as they're starting to get the assets. They're leaving those advisors that they don't feel heard when they're saying, listen, I'm not into speculation. I want to get out of this gambling mentality. And money has been freely going for years now, like you just said. We have been in a very good market where, like, if you made a bad decision, you could kind of recover a little more quickly. Women aren't like that. We don't just throw a handful of yeast in the bread and hope it works. We have a recipe and we follow the recipe, because even when you follow the recipe, things can change. And that's what's going to be happening now. So I do think, yes, he's correct. It's been more gambling and we're going back to church. So I'm just like, hold that real quick, because you're going to start seeing, I think, this trend as women start getting more control of the assets, that we are going to start seeing that pullback.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, when we look at things from a women's perspective, you might have some fun money. I call it the fun money, the money that you're going to go and you're going to go have a date night, or you're going to go and get your nails done, and that's what you use that money for. But then you also have the money that you've set aside, and it's going to be spent on this, and it's going to be spent on this, and then there's this much left over for whatever else I might need. And I think that's just the mentality that you're going to see, is instead of it being, hey, let's see what happens. I hope I make, 20% in the market on this one stock. I think you're going to see women say, I want something that is consistent and that's going to continue to be there long term,
right,
and something that can be passed on to the next generation. Because I think a lot of times women want something left. They want a legacy left for their children, grandchildren, and so forth.
Very much so. If I could say anything, that's what you have. Men that come in here, I would say predominantly, and they're wanting to take care of their queen. They're like, I know that she's going to outlive me, so I want to make sure she's taken care of. You talk to that female, and they're making sure that the kids, the fur babies, you ask a gentleman what the plans are for the cat, the family cat or dog, they look at you like you just spoke some other language. and then they slowly look at their wife and go, what's the plan? Because their whole focus, and that's been our whole culture, has been that the men taking care of the women. Mm-hmm. And then what happens also is once the man transitions and the woman's in control, she usually looks to those adult children. Like, I'm doing this not just for me, but for you. So come in and let's help. Let's do that. And that's where our financial needs analysis that we talk about so much comes in, because now we're readjusting the whole entire plan. We did what he wanted done, and now mom's got it. And now we're talking to mom and the kids in doing that, planning out for what she now wants to happen with that wealth. And it is much more conservative. It's not the casino. I can guarantee you that. I have one person I can think of that has that mentality. Other than that I don't. The women are much more conservative. coming in and having the discussion and having those conversations is very important. So if it's before something happens or after something has happened, and whether it is the surviving widow, let's have those conversations. And today, Carl, he was a listener for last week, and he called in, and his wife passed away 4.5 years ago. And just what the education he had, the decisions he made, absolutely fantastic. Now he called because he heard this and said, I want to retire in 1.5 years. I want to come in and get a plan in place. So that's what we're going to do. And that's who we're talking to.
Well, and not just the people where an event's happen. So we preach a lot about being proactive. And so if you're listening and you're a man who has had this sole focus of I've taken care of everything, I have my person, I go to them by myself, I would strongly, strongly encourage you to say, hey, why don't you go with me and see if it's a good fit? And if it's not a good fit, then maybe it's time to reach out somewhere else to see where there can be a whole fit to have a proactive plan that's working for the long-term goal for everybody in the family. As well as I think it's an easier transition for women when they've been educated with that strong rock sitting next to them, beside them, right? I think it's a great opportunity for men to start bringing the women in to the conversation no matter where they're at. So they don't have to wait for that event to happen and it be during a time of grief and a lot of emotion and a lot of stress.
Right. So what does an appointment look like when you come into the office for this needs analysis? And that's where I'm open to anything. If you don't want to bring anything and have it all on your phone, that's fine. You're going to kick yourself if you don't have the stuff, because you're going to have a really long homework list. Because I'll say, hey, next time bring this. But if you want to be a little more prepared, I have people either bring them in boxes or they brought bags. There's so many bags right now out there that are available, shopping bags and different things, you know. They come in, and I had a lady the other day that had 2 of them. And she said, I'm here and ready for maybe any questions that I have that you're going to answer, but you're going to need another piece of the puzzle. So she brought all her puzzle pieces, and they were in 2 different bags. I've had other people that just have all their passwords written down and the different website things are on, because so much is on the phone anymore. And so we do it that way. So I would say anything financial, possibly bring it in. And if you don't, that's okay too, because we can have this first conversation of just, hey, this is who we are. This is where we're at in that level of comfortability. That's why we're not a one and done. We're here. If the relationship is good and it evolves, awesome. You'll know what to bring in next time. There's never wasted conversations, Jess.
No, absolutely not. Always something on the table to talk about here. Again, if you'd like to come in for this custom financial needs analysis, great opportunity for you. It's complimentary. 918-890-8311. So think about this. Does your digital life need a spring cleaning? There was a survey done by All About Cookies. They found that the average person has more than 1,000 unread emails. And that's not counting all the unread text and social media notifications. Now, listen, before we move on, I have to know, are you guys those people where you see the icon on your phone and it says 1,000 emails or 50 text messages? Because that drives me insane.
There is no way in heck there is any little numbers on any of my stuff. It drives me crazy. When it needs an update and it says it's going to do it when I go to sleep, I'm like, can we just get it done now? Because that icon, that one is up there, that little mark, like it's going to happen at night.
I get stressed for people when I look at their phones or, you know, their emails and they're pulling their stuff up and they've got 50. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do you not have that down to 0? Like that you didn't even look at some of this stuff. I don't know. Like, you're missing out. FOMO. There we go. I have it.
Good. So we're all three on the same page there, that, seeing on things unread, undone, to me, it just adds to my mental to-do list and it drives me absolutely insane. So think about that concept of unread text messages and emails, and think about, when's the last time you did the same with your retirement portfolio? Think if you had an icon on your iPhone that said retirement portfolio and you had 75 notifications of things you needed to check. So let's break that down. What kind of spring cleaning might it need, and what could you find, guys?
Well, first of all, clarity creates confidence, and just that piece. We help clients simplify their portfolios, reduce those overlap, and understand where their income and risk truly are. And I'm going to take a sidestep here. I paid somebody to come in and clean my pantry. I can't even begin to tell you how pleased I am. It's simple, but it says, like all my napkins and that stuff is in that little container, and my spices and my chips and my sweets and all that.
A professional organizer.
Yes, she is. She just did the rest of the kitchen last week, and the jury's still out because I can't find everything yet. So I'm still Twitter pattering. I'm like, okay. So thank goodness she's just a text away, like we are with our clients. Like, hey, what happened with that? So I think for us, we cut the duplicate holdings out. People don't realize how many different portfolios they have maybe are invested in that same exact thing, and they're paying they're paying those fees on all that when you can just take all of it together. So if you really want NVIDIA and you have it in 5 different portfolios, let's just pull it all together. So that's where our eyes go in.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times we sat across from clients where something has happened, or even they're just getting close to that retirement time and they're like, yeah, I have this one 401k account, but I got this statement from this company. I don't know what it's for. And we look at it and, oh, they have another 401k. Oh, and they've got another 401k. All of these old accounts that people forget about. So if you're not keeping up with that and you're not consolidating or at least tracking it all, you lose track of where some of your money is. And I don't know how that happens because, again, I would be super stressed, but apparently it does happen. People just do it and forget about it.
The call I had today from one of our listeners, they realize there's $160 a month going out in fees. That may not seem like a lot, but it is a lot. It adds up and it eats away at your portfolio. So that's where trimming all that stuff and starting to, reduce the clutter, because as we've seen over time, those portfolios get really unwildly and just kind of out of control. And so that's where it's going. Fewer accounts, then you have fewer moving parts, and you can make that whole thing easier to manage and monitor.
Well, not only easier, I think it's one of those when things are overwhelming, we bury our head in the sand because something that's overwhelming, we don't even want to start because it's just too much. So if you're not
We're talking about my Christmas decorations in my garage.
Then you're able to, be more proactive and do things and do it in a timely manner because you're not dreading doing it and putting it off and kicking the can down the road. And I think that's, just one of the simple things of taking, setting aside a time, scheduling it. I'm all about getting things on the calendar to gather all that information up and then to try to work to consolidate it so that you can have the confidence that you know what your money is doing, it's doing what you're asking it to do, and it's working towards that plan.
Yesterday when Steve was in and we were talking to him about going on that website for IRS for his mom to find out where all the different 1099s are coming in from the dad's investments. Will you share that with our listeners? Because I think like you said, you do it for you personally, but everybody needs to do that to find out all your different places that you've got money that you're possibly, and it's not going to be absolutely accurate, but it's going to get you darn near close.
Yeah, so one of the opportunities with all the new things, the IRS has joined the 21st century and they've updated their website. And so one of the opportunities for people is they can create an irs.gov ID Me account where you can go out there and you log in and you have to do some face recognition and all that. But you get an account. And what happens is this is all the information that is reported to the IRS from your 1099-B, so from your financial institution, if you're still working, your W-2s, all of those, and they call it a transcript, and you can get that transcript for yourself annually, and that is what is reported to the IRS, and that is what better be on your tax return and match, because if it doesn't, then you will get one of those fun letters, and we'll be having another conversation. But yeah, I even use it for myself because I know some places should probably have been sending me a 1099 and I don't believe they did, or it got lost in the mail. And I wanted to make sure that I was reporting the income the proper way. It was going to get reported either way, but there are certain technical ways to report stuff. And I wanted to make sure I was doing it right.
So how often have you opened up those ad slicks that, the pizza and Arby's and all those different coupons on there? And then there's one piece of mail that's stuck in there, a 1099 or something like that. That's one thing. So you can make sure because they maybe mailed it. You tossed it because you saw a bunch of junk mail. The other thing was for him, the peace of mind to go, okay, we're able to get now a picture if you can't look at the tax returns and then what was filed. And people move. That's another thing that keeps coming up. If your address has changed over the years, it doesn't mean they're not still sending that out. You're just not getting it. So get on there, get that IRS account set up and see what's being reported. And if it is a loved one that has passed away, you're able to see what has been reported. So you'll know how to go into like our conversations much better equipped.
It provides the clarity, right? It takes the uncertainty away because you know where everything is and who it came from. And so for him, especially because his dad had accounts everywhere and they didn't know where to even look for some of them or if they were just missing.
Right. So back to a whole spring cleaning, Jess, it really is. It's all about deciding what stays and what goes by removing unnecessary investments and just focusing on broad core building blocks that we can keep the strategy aligned and keep them with that peace of mind that it's simple. Everything has now got a place. There's a place for everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything has a place. There's a place for everything, and that means in your financial plan as well. As you talked about earlier here, Suzanne, clarity creates confidence. And think about it like this, especially when what we're telling you to come in for is a custom financial needs analysis. You know, this is where you're going to go through everything and go, okay, do I want this? Do I need it? And then kind of like, what's her name? The Netflix show says, like, does it bring you joy, right? Do you need it? Do you throw it out? So it's all about getting organized and finding out what you're missing as well, what you need. Call in today for that custom financial needs analysis, 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311. DimeToDiamondsRadio.com is, of course, the website. In just a moment, here's an idea some folks have. I want to know if it's good or bad. Suzanne's going to weigh in, but should you claim your Social Security just to turn around and invest it? Think on that. We'll be right back.
The headlines about Social Security and the stock market are crazy. There's a lot of things you can't control about retirement, but there's one thing you can. You can call Suzanne Porsky at Phoenix Financial Group. Call for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting today, 918-890-8311 or at DimeToDiamondsRadio.com.
Welcome back. This is Dime to Diamonds. Any questions about what we're talking about on today's show? Or maybe there's some financial topics that are keeping you up at night. If you're anything like Suzanne and myself, all of a sudden at 2 and 3 a.m., then my brain wants to wake up and ask every question that I hadn't thought of earlier that day. Sometimes it is about money and finances and what in the world's going on in our economy and the market. If that's you, give Suzanne a call today. Again, 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311. 8311. You can also check out that website, DimeToDiamondsRadio.com. So I saw this Social Security question from a Money.com reader, and they said they don't need the benefits when it comes to Social Security, but what they plan to do is claim it at full retirement age anyway. Then they want to turn around and invest the checks and let the money grow. On the surface, this doesn't sound like a terrible idea. I know you're going to take a deeper dive into it. Suzanne, what are your thoughts on this?
Rochelle, you go first here.
Yeah, so the strategy sounds really smart at first because people think that they're going to invest and this money's going to grow. But I think they forget about the guaranteed piece, which comes with Social Security, that increase, which I'll let you get into that more. But we had an individual in one of our seminars who brought this point up and kind of didn't want to let it go during the seminar because he was like, I can invest this and I can make it all in the market and it's just going to keep growing and that would just be better. And he never could get back to that piece of, well, it's guaranteed. And again, one strategy doesn't fit all for everybody because the other part is you lock that in once you make that decision. So
right. And Social Security decisions should never happen in isolation. It's not just with one concept or one idea. I want to ask him because that was somebody today I had a conversation with. You're going to do that. Sounds like it's great. Can I talk to you about IRMA? Because you're going to be earning this over the next couple of years.
Well, wait a second. Who's IRMA? That sounds like somebody's aunt that nobody likes.
It is. It's an excise tax. It's an income-related Medicare cost. So if you make too much money, if they have a threshold, an income threshold, that's what determines how much the Medicare costs them. So people go, oh, it's $202 a month. Yeah, that's the base. Then if you make over that, and so this individual making $84,000 plus taking Social Security because he's past his FRA, full retirement age. So he doesn't matter how much income he's making, he can take it and invest it. Now he's getting himself, when he does go to retire, he wants to pull that Medicare. His Medicare, if it was today, is not going to be $202 a month. You could be $400 a month or $500 a month for 24 months because it's income tested. That's how they're going to determine how much your Medicare costs. So that's where it can't be done in isolation. You need to talk to a financial professional that is holistic and looking at your whole picture, that is going to do a financial needs analysis and say, okay, what's your ultimate goal here? What do you want to do? And how can we make this best fit?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it goes back to, it shouldn't just be a question of can I invest the money, but what creates the strongest long-term outcome? And I think that's what you're trying to get at, is that, you know, when you look at a portfolio, we don't look at one piece. All of the income streams have to work together, and they need to work together in the most efficient way possible to reach the individual's goal. And everybody's goal is different. So, you know, it may work for one, but it won't work for the other.
Right. And then once you trigger that Social Security, that's it. You're done. That's it forever. You can stop it. I did have somebody stop it and repay 2 years because they realized that they listened to their ex-husband that said, you should pull your Social Security while you're working. And I get you're 63 years old, but that doesn't matter. So that decision was made in isolation. And then her benefits were taxed so much because she couldn't live off of that $2,000 a month. She wanted to keep working anyways. And so making $80,000, $90,000 a year plus that, 85% of her benefit.
Well, and so we've talked a few times with individuals where it's a couple sitting in the class and they think that they get to get both of them, right? They get to get both of them, or even one. She thought she was going to be able to get her husband's larger amount later, even though he had already selected it. So, maybe explain a little bit how that...
So they'll take it before their full retirement age. So they get the itch because everybody's like, you should take it. Even though you're working, take it and then just invest it. Like take that check and invest it. Well, you're not getting that full amount because you're working and you're under your full retirement age. So you're already taking a hit, a slice of what your primary insurance amount is, your full amount. You're taking a hit there.
So a lower monthly payment.
Okay. And then it's getting taxed because, and we teach this in our workshops, which I want to do a plug real quick. We have one workshop left on May 28th before we take the summer off. We'll pick it back up maybe in the fall. But I'm going to encourage people, if you're listening to this, get on the dimetodiamondsradio.com, go to our events and click on that and get registered. It is standing room only last time, and that will go live to everybody, not just our listeners, here in a week or so. So get in there and get registered for that. But so they do all this, they pull it, they're getting 85% taxed on all of it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense if it's done in isolation. You've got to pull back and you've got to look at everything.
And the wife will only get that lower benefit for the rest of her life if something happens, or vice versa, whether, whoever passed first. Yeah, but that locks it in for life.
And at that workshop, remember, she said, well, if he passes away past his full retirement age, I get the bigger amount. And I go, what? Who said that? Because it's not the Social Security. It's not anywhere. That's a make-believe. And she's like, well, my friend at Mahjong was telling me that that's what happens. I go, well, she may know Mahjong. We know Social Security. I don't know Mahjong. That doesn't happen. It never changes. You might get COLA, cost of living adjustments, a little tiny bit. But other than that, you can't go in and say, oh, he declared it. He went in and got his Social Security at 67, that lower amount. He's now passed away at the age of 73. I'm going to go back in and ask him to give me that full retirement. No, they don't do that.
I also think it's unique because Social Security, everybody starts to draw that, and it's treated like a paycheck. So you would expect that taxes are being withheld from your Social Security benefits, but they are not unless you voluntarily withhold it. So even those individuals who might choose to take it earlier, or if you take it later, you might get a really large tax bill after that first year because this whole time you've thought they were withholding taxes and they weren't. So, it's very important to understand that you might need to go and voluntarily do that on your own or set money aside.
The other conversation we have is, and I had this with a person, that you don't get both when somebody passes away. You pick between the two, and Social Security will assume you want the larger. So you've just taken that hit. And that was a conversation, is let's stress test both of these ideas here, because the woman was going to get $3,300 a month on Social Security. The husband's getting $2,100. What happens when you lose his $2,100? Should he transition first, pass away first? What happens if you pass away? That's what I was asking her. What is he going to do about replacing? He's going to get that yours, but he'll get rid of his. And those are the conversations people don't have at Mahjong. Just telling you. I'm just joking because I really don't know. I've been to one. Those are the things that we have those conversations. And it usually, I feel like I'm coming across like we're doom and gloom. We're not. We're just saying, hey, here's a couple of things to just stew on, kind of think about, let roll around in there. And this is what we're thinking when we're talking to you and listening to you. We're going through all of our decades of knowledge.
Yeah, and we want people to be comfortable for the entire life, whatever that might be. And so, asking those questions about what does it look like in 5 years? What does it look like in 10 years? And running all the different scenarios. It's just a nice, different set of eyes of individuals looking at a situation and making sure that we're covering all the bases.
Right. So if you're listening and you want somebody to just sit and talk with and banter and say, hey, can we just have like an hour and I have some questions, please write them down before you come in. Because if you're like me, I know what I want at the grocery store until I get there. And then I go, what did I come here for? Oh yeah, dinner. What was dinner? Anyway, so write your questions down and let's have these conversations. And I'll start thinking whether you get a needs analysis or not from us. That's the brain is programmed that way. I'm going through it in my head like Tetris. thinking, okay, these are some of the things that are concern for you or that you have questions, kind of an unknown. I want to retire in a year or two. I do have a couple, he calls it dog years. So he is retiring in 1 dog year, which is 7 years.
I like that.
Now I'm like, are you going to retire in 1 or 2 dog years? How many years are we looking at here? Let's have the conversations and let's get everything put in place. Like there are people that have these 401ks that are lingering out there. So when I start talking to them about this dog year, what it's going to look like and getting us prepared for the next 7 years. Oh yeah, let's pull in those extra things and let's put this in the needs analysis and let's get a plan in place and let's start working it right now. Let's get this going. So when you come in, bring your questions. Know that there is no interrogation. This is a super simple, fun environment, very relaxing. If we can help you, great. If it works out, great. If not, you'll leave here with a bag of fresh popcorn. Right now, also Girl Scout cookies. Got lots of those. And so we're here to help you. We show up, we're giving it 2,000%, and I want to help those that want to be helped.
Absolutely. Yep. And again, we'd like to offer it to you today listening. Come in today for that custom financial needs analysis. Or if you'd like to just come in and meet, Suzanne and the team and ask some questions, get a feel for what it's like to work with Suzanne, we can do that as well over the phone. You can come in person, of course, right there off Main Street. Bottom line, it's all about helping you and creating your financial future. Again, for this custom financial needs analysis, that's 918-890-8311. 918-890-8311. The website, dimetodiamondsradio.com. That's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate you joining us. Love to hear from you. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you guys so much for listening. We love being able to share our knowledge, and we really, really enjoy coming to the office every day, and we hope to see you guys come soon so we can hear your stories and hopefully make a positive impact on your world, because that's what we get joy from.
Yes, thank you for this hour that you've given us and allowing us to share our knowledge and our passions. And if we can help you, I look forward to talking with you either on the phone for that first appointment. If that's what you want to do, let us know, and then we can go from there, or come in. It's a beautiful time of the year right now. Broken Arrow downtown, Rose District is amazing to walk. And we've got some great chocolate shops, ice cream shops, all kinds of fun things. And come in and say hi. Let's chat an hour and see if we can help you clarify some things. Have a great weekend.
Phoenix Financial Group has a strategic partnership with Rochelle Harp at Harp Accounting, who can provide tax advice. The strategic partner herein is not employed by Phoenix Financial Group. Neither Phoenix Financial Group nor IPW are affiliated with Harp Accounting. Any and all other services offered by the Harp Accounting are not offered through or supervised by IPW. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Phoenix Financial Group, LLC. Phoenix Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, or Registered Investment Advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Phoenix Financial Group, LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Phoenix Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Phoenix Financial Group, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.